We are live, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to call tonight's meeting for April 11th to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the record show that all city council members are here tonight, and I'm looking to entertain a motion at the end of the meeting to maybe ask the city staff to put gift bags, maybe in the first, second, and third rows, so that when people watch these proceedings, they say, gosh, they're packed in there tonight, you know? So maybe gift bags, Mr. Benoon. It's my pleasure to introduce some new employees, so I'm going to go ahead and begin.
Mr. Mayor, quick point of order. Before we begin, I would like to make a motion to remove item B2 and not move forward.
Okay, Mr. Bucci, I will entertain your motion when we get to it after the introduction of the new employees.
Okay.
Kevin DeFranco, please join me at the stage. You can stand over here, my friend. You only stand there when you want to talk to me. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Kevin DeFranco. Kevin was born in Fremont. God, it says that right up front. Normally they kind of hide that down towards the bottom, so I don't have an opportunity to kind of embarrass you about having chosen to live in Fremont versus our great city, but that's okay.
It wasn't a choice.
Okay, it wasn't a choice. We accept that. Where he began his journey in community service as an open water lifeguard at Quarry Lakes for the East Bay Regional Park District, with a Bachelor of Science degree from San Francisco State University in psychology and a master's degree from Cal State East Bay in hospitality, recreation, and tourism. Kevin has worked with various municipalities, including the cities of Sacramento, Community Service District, and the city of Patterson, where he excelled as a recreation supervisor. He's registered with the Alameda County as an emergency medical technician. God, it's always good to have those folks in the room. Kevin looks forward to leveraging his expertise and bringing new duties and ideas and perspectives to the city of Newark as a Recreation and Community Service Supervisor 1. Kevin is the co-chair of the Northern California Aquatic Management Association and an American Red Cross instructor and instructor trainee, where he shares his passion of teaching life-saving skills. So we don't just hire people because they meet the minimum qualifications. People that come to work in the city of Newark have such elevated qualifications that we're really proud to bring them on board. In his free time, Kevin enjoys going to the beach, surprise, surprise, swimming, surprise, surprise, playing water polo, surprise, surprise, and as an orange tabby cat named Milo. Please join me in welcoming Kevin. Gabriel Gonzalez. I feel like I'm on The Price is Right. Gabriel Gonzalez, come on down. Welcome aboard, my friend. Gabriel Gonzalez, also known as Gabe, became part of the maintenance division in August of 2023, serving as General Maintenance Worker 3, and now is bringing his expertise to our Landscape and Parks team as Landscape and Parks 1. Gabe grew up in Newark. Attended Newark Memorial High School. He enjoys nice rides on his motorcycle and spending time with his family and girlfriend. Gabe is a Raiders fan.
Just because I look like the logo doesn't mean
Gabe is a Raiders fan, but we won't hold that against him. It says that, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily true. Welcome aboard. Mr. Ryan Perez. And Ryan is being promoted, so congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you.
Ryan was hired as a General Maintenance Worker 3, PST, in October of 2021, promoted to General Laborer in April of 2022, and was recently promoted to Street and Maintenance Worker 1 in March of 2024. He's on the path, Mr. Benoon, to be sitting in that chair in the near future. Ryan is currently attending courses at Chabot College and holds 2 certificates in Traffic Control Flagger Certification and Forklift Operation Certificate. Ryan is a Newark Memorial High School graduate. Currently resides in Newark. Now, if I said shops in Newark, that would be a trifecta. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time with his family and friends, playing basketball at the Silliman Center and walking his dogs in Newark. What kind of dogs do you have?
2 golden doodles.
Oh, excellent. Oh, the ones that don't shed. The ones that don't shed. Welcome aboard, Ryan, and congratulations on the promotion. Josie Duenas, please come down. I should have met you before the meeting, so I'm sorry if I butchered your name in advance. He was hired as a General Maintenance Worker, PST, in May of 2019, promoted to General Laborer in July of 2019, promoted to Landscape Park Maintenance Worker 1 in June of 2021, and was recently laterally promoted to Street Maintenance Worker 1 in March of 2024. Boy, you're going places quick. Congratulations. Josue, right?
Correct.
Thank you. Holds 2 certificates in Traffic Control Flagger Certification and Forklift Operator Certification. Josue is a Castlemont High School graduate and currently resides in Hayward. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time with his family and friends, cooking carne asada. Hopefully you have an opportunity to taste that in the near future. Camping in the summer, fishing for bass in the California Delta, and fishing in the ocean for rockfish. Welcome aboard and congratulations on your promotion. And Mohammed. Mohammed, is it Shiwaibi? Shwaib. I knew I'd screw it up. Mohammed was hired as a General Maintenance Worker, PST, in October of 2023 and was recently promoted to Equipment Mechanic 1 in 2024. Something's going right in that division if all these outstanding employees continually get promoted. Something's going right in that organization. So congratulations, Mr. Benoon, to that whole team. Mo previously, there it is, Mo. Mo previously worked, no, let's not give him Mo up front. Mo previously worked, experience includes working at Tesla. Okay. If I ever have questions regarding my Tesla, I know who to come see. And he holds 2 certificates in EMS certification in emergency medical services. Thank you for that. From Bay Area Training Academy and Basic Car Expertise Mechanics certification from James Logan High School, ROP. Mo is a James Logan High graduate and currently resides in Union City. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time with his family, working on cars, fishing, and photography. Please join me in congratulating Mo on his promotion. I see our HR directors in the audience. We've had this conversation. Joe Bell, Mary Smith, just, easy names. Those are, and even if they come with more culturally ethnic names, We can substitute. No, okay. Congratulations to all those employees and their promotions. Thank you. You're welcome. So, colleagues, it's unprecedented here at Newark City Hall during a council meeting for a council colleague to ask for a proclamation to be pulled, but Councilmember Councilmember Bucci has requested that we pull item B2 so he can make some comments.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, I do want to just take a moment and remind my colleagues that when we, the city, issue a proclamation, it's really an opportunity to celebrate folks that work in our community, live in our community, or provide benefit to our community.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, but there's a second. It's called for a vote.
Are there any comments on the motion? I'll make a comment on the motion. These are really opportunities for celebration, recognizing folks that make significant contribution to our community. And here, we are taking the time out to recognize fair housing and Fair Housing Month. And I want to make sure that our guests recognize that we certainly support the mission of fair housing. We want all residents in our community to have the opportunity to have decent, safe, and sanitary housing. And I know your organization is one of many that support that notion. So I just want to make sure you understand that the polling of this item is unprecedented, and I will defer. First of all, council colleagues, we need to vote on whether or not to pull this item. We have a motion from Councilmember Bucci. We have a second from Mr. Jorgens. Let's vote on the motion as to whether or not we should pull this proclamation and not recognize Fair Housing Month, because that's what will happen. If we pull this item and it doesn't pass.
Again, point of order, sir. You're not allowed to do this.
No, I'm allowed to advise my
I don't think
colleagues as to
you
the
are.
importance
I don't think
of the
you
vote.
are, sir. All due respect.
Thank you. I just want to advise my colleagues that the vote is not simply an opportunity to have you explain why you think the proclamation should not be issued, but if we vote to support your motion, we are, as a member of the city, as a city of Newark, we are not recognizing Fair Housing Month. I just want to put that on the table. Let's go ahead and take a vote. And Madam Clerk, I don't see it here on my, thank you. So go ahead and vote, please. The motion is to table the proclamation. And that passes on a 3-2. So that item has been pulled. We will not be issuing a proclamation for fair housing. I thank you for coming tonight, and B2 has been pulled. There will be no further conversation regarding B2. The next item is public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to speak on any item that's no longer on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak under public comment? Yes, please come forward.
Okay. Yes, thank
Good
you.
evening.
Hi. Hi. Thank you for this opportunity to address the proclamation denial. My name is Barbara Clemens, and I am the 2024 president of the Bay East Association of Realtors. And this is very disappointing because what Bay East does and what we do for our members, and those members help the clients to purchase homes. And so that's what we provide information to, we provide data to, we provide services for, and this is something that's been since what, 1968? Okay, so I was able to, I'll tell you my own story. When I first bought my first home, I had to get an assumable loan to buy my first home because I couldn't get a loan. And so this is what the Bay East Association of Realtors does, is to help promote fair housing, which is the law. It promotes fair housing, and it was, I just can't understand why, city of Newark would reject such a proclamation and an acknowledgement that this is still an issue. This is still relevant today about fair housing. And, when we go and look at statistics for the cities, Newark is very diverse. And so we want to provide the opportunity for all those people to obtain home ownership. And so, like I said, I'm very disappointed. My colleagues are. Did you guys want to say anything? Well, they'll have to raise their hands. But it just, I don't know. This is unprecedented. We're going through a bunch of cities and receiving proclamations and acknowledgement, which is very, very helpful and very rewarding. So our members can see, and their clients can see, that we are promoting fair housing for all. And that's what we're doing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming this afternoon. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to on any item that's not currently on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. The consent calendar consists of items D1 through D6. Are there any items staff would like pulled from the consent calendar?
Not this evening.
Thank you. Are there any items the public would like pulled from the consent calendar? Colleagues, are there any items that you want pulled from the consent calendar? The consent calendar consists of the following items. D1, approval of the audited demands. D2, approval of March 28, 2024 minutes. D3, adopt a resolution establishing the number of residents in the city of Newark for the purpose of determining the voluntary expenditure ceiling for the November 5, 2024 municipal election. D4, adopt a resolution authorizing the submittal of an application to Cal Recycle for local assistant grant program funding in the amount of $130,984 and amending the 2022-2024 biennial budget and capital improvement plan. D5, adopt a resolution approving the First Amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding with the Alameda County Department of Environmental Health, ACDEH, for inspections of Tier 1 and Tier 2 edible food recovery facilities. D6, waive full reading, conduct a second reading by title only, and adopt an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 15.4, construction in flood hazard zones, flood hazard areas of the Newark Municipal Code. Would anyone like to move the items to be approved? Any item approved by resolution or ordinance being numbered consecutively, and that the reading of the title suffice for purposes of introduction or adoption of the ordinance?
So moved.
By Councilmember Collazo, by Vice Mayor Freitas. Please vote. And that passes unanimously 5-0.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newark repealing and replacing in its entirety Newark Municipal Code Chapter 15.40 to adopt a new construction in flood hazard areas, to adopt flood hazard maps, to designate a floodplain administrator, and for other purposes.
Thank you. We have no public hearings tonight. F1 is adopt a resolution initiating proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments for landscaping and lighting districts number 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 for fiscal year 2025. Before we begin the landscaping and lighting item, I understand that Councilmember Collazo and City Manager Benoon will need to recuse themselves. Councilmember Collazo?
I need to recuse myself as I have properties in District Number 10, which is 36805 Magnolia Street, a residential rental property, 7015 Thornton Mexico Tortilla Factory, 7155, 7167, 7179 Thornton Avenue, commercial rental property, and District Number 11, which is the property that I reside at. But I will be back.
City Manager Benoon.
Yes, good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. I likewise will need to recuse myself. My primary residence is situated in Landscaping and Lighting District Number 11. I took no part in the preparation of the staff report or any direction thereof. I understand Public Works Director Fajot will be providing the staff report.
City Manager Benoon does not participate, but it's always interesting to me, his lights always seem to be on.
Right. Good evening, Your Honor,
Mr.
members of
Ford.
council. Thank you, Storm Peugeot, Public Works Director. The city does have 13 existing landscaping and lighting districts that provide for the operation and maintenance of landscaping and lighting improvements in various parts of the city. Each year, a public hearing is required in order to levy assessments on these existing districts for the upcoming fiscal year. In advance of that public hearing, the city council would need to approve completed engineers' reports for each district and then establish a date for that public hearing. The very first step in the process is for the city council to direct staff to initiate proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments. Specifically, that would include preparation of the engineers' reports for the district, each district, and for the filing of those reports with the city clerk. Then at a future meeting, council could then provide those reports, or staff could provide those reports for council's consideration, and the council could also consider establishing a date for the public hearing. So normally we would have this item on the consent calendar, but with the recusals, it's required to be under other business. So with that, staff's recommendation is for council to direct staff to do the initiation of proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments for all existing landscaping and lighting districts for fiscal year 2025. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Are there any questions from members of the public? Seeing none. Colleagues, questions? Can I get a motion and a second, please? Move for approval. By Councilmember Bucci. Second. By Councilmember Jorgens. Please vote. And that passes 4 yes and 1 recusal.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Newark initiating proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments for landscaping and lighting district numbers 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19.
Thank you. City Manager updates?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you. Colleagues, under council matters, Councilmember Bucci.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to talk about the B2 item. Honestly, I'm really happy and excited that we are in the 56th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act. It was a landmark piece of legislation that put it into things like redlining and was the first step in creating an equal playing field when it came to housing. However, I'm not going to pull any punches here. I'm disappointed that the Association of Realtors was here to accept it instead of a local nonprofit or community group that's out here really doing the work encompassed in the Fair Housing Act. It's nothing personal against the ladies who were here today. I'm sure they're great folks, and I'm willing to bet that they have no idea about some of the things their organization does, but I am going to mention a few things. Also, just to be clear, all of the information I'm about to give you and the Association of Realtors legislative positions are available on their website and is where I got most of the things I'm going to read to you right now. So according to the Association of Realtors' own websites, they are in opposition to rent control laws. They are in opposition of the Renters' Bill of Rights. I know some of you are thinking, Mike, I've heard that mentioned. What is the Renters' Bill of Rights? Well, some of the things in there are protections from abusive landlords, assistance for renters facing no-cause evictions. So just so folks know, the difference between a no-cause eviction and a just-cause eviction is if you don't pay your rent and you get evicted, that's just cause. If you're bringing crime and doing damage to the place, that's just cause. A no-cause eviction is when the landlord just wants to move you out to either move somebody else in and raise the rent because they are limited by the state to 5% per year. And these are some of the tactics they use to get people out of the house and then put them back in. And according to, again, their own website, these are the things they're supporting. Another thing that they're opposed to, right to legal counsel, so forced mediation. Enhanced accountability for financial institutions over discriminatory housing practices, which is literally the definition of the Fair Housing Act. So how they're opposed to that, I'm not sure. The privacy and freedom from unreasonable searches, i.e. the landlord can't just show up and demand to come into the house. Limits on excessive security deposits, which has been a big issue for folks who are needing to move. Those first, the last, and the security deposits that are excessive and to make it too hard for people to move in. Transparent rental agreements. How anybody could be opposed to that, I'm not sure. Rent control and rent stabilization, and of course, just cause evictions. They are in opposition to the COVID eviction moratoriums, the same moratoriums that we put in place here that kept thousands of Newark people in their houses during the most critical time, okay? Opposed to it. They support repealing the 30-day eviction rule, which 30 days in California, not every state has that right, okay? Some people get 8-day eviction notices. Okay, so they want to get rid of the 30-day eviction notice, which I don't think is too much to ask for. They support for suspending the FHA's anti-flipping rule. The Federal Housing Administration has a 90-day rule about flippers who constantly flip and sell houses quickly and then put them right back on the market, and it artificially inflates the value of the house so that when somebody else comes and buys it, they pay that inflated price and they immediately get a loss in equity. They are supporting suspending that. They are also pushing back against disparate impact rules, which is a direct conflict with the Fair Housing Act. They are a lobbying giant, okay? For several years, the Association of Realtors has been one of the top 2 highest spenders at federal lobbying level. In 2023, they spent $52 million. That doesn't include direct candidate donations or their state and local level efforts. Now, I will say this before I read this next part. The mayor spoke with the East Bay group of realtors, because I'm going to talk about Alex Lee, and they assured him that while they knew that the state organization, the state arm of their organization, was going to attack Alex Lee and go after him, that they personally didn't give any money. So I'm not going to paint the East Bay division with this brush, but they are certainly part of the California division who had everything to do with what I'm about to read. Speaking of local efforts, I think it's important to highlight one of their recent local campaigns, the 2022 election of Assemblymember Alex Lee. Alex Lee is obviously the Assembly member for the 24th District. That's Newark. That's us. Just to be clear, Alex has been a great friend and advocate for Newark. During his latest term, he has secured more than $5 million in funding for our small city, more than anyone before him. $2 million was acquired for train quiet zones, $1 million towards our citywide broadband project, another $1 million for the Old Town Streetscape, and an additional $1 million to open Newark's first family resource center. The truth is that Alex is passionate about affordable housing, and that's where he went wrong. Because of his efforts to keep people in their homes, the Association of Realtors unleashed their super PAC on him and spent $1.6 million in attack ads against him, including $1 million in the last 4 weeks before Election Day alone, none of which had anything to do with housing. Let me show you. I received these over the 2 months before election, and I didn't save the first few, but after a couple, I started saving all of them. And I will tell you that none of these from the Association of Realtors has anything to do with housing. Here's an accusation that Alex is about his campaign funding. Here is Alex Lee, wrong on drugs, or on guns, doesn't have his face, just has a guy with a gun. Don't vote for Alex Lee. Protect kids from gun violence. Nothing to do with housing. Let's see here. Alex Lee joined Republicans in the Assembly. So do they. Nothing about housing. Here we go. More about Alex Lee, not getting votes. Let's see here. Oh, more gun violence. Nothing about housing. Just to be clear, You can look on the back of these. Thanks to California, you have to say who funded all this stuff. So I'm going to leave these out. You can look at them. It tells you exactly that it's the Association of Realtors. So, and I saved this one for last. And the reason I did it is because it says the penalty for murder with an assault weapon would drop from 25 years to 3 years in prison under Alex Lee's gun law. And it's got the fellow there with the AR-15, very spooky and no head. Does anybody actually believe that if you use an AR-15 that Alex thinks you should only get 3 years for murder? No, it's ridiculous. And the thing that makes me the most upset about this is this came out in 2022 at the height of a lot of what was going on with the Asian hate and violence against the Asian community and the whole COVID scare, okay? According to our last census data, 24th district is 61% Asian, okay? So the Association of Realtors is just fear-mongering the Asian community who, let's be honest, at this time was dealing with a lot and had every right to be afraid and concerned for their own personal safety. And the Association of Realtors took that as an opportunity to try to get their own people elected by putting stuff like this in their mailboxes. None of that has to do with housing. I'm bringing this up because I feel it's important that people know the truth about who's trying to influence them and what their true motives are. There are plenty of factors as to why the cost of living and rent is so high, but the Association of Realtors is actively lobbying against every pro-housing effort put forward. They don't care if you lose your house. They love high turnover because they make commission every time that house sells. They don't give a damn about you or the impact of the cost of living has on our communities. They say they do, but it's nothing more than lip service. This whole proclamation is disingenuous. They literally send every city in the Bay Area an email asking to come in and receive it. They write the proclamation themselves and then invite themselves in. The whole show is part of their lobbying effort and nothing more. I encourage anyone concerned about the high cost of living to look into the Association of Realtors and pay close attention to what they send you come election time. I'm sure after tonight you might even see some things with my name on it. I am going to leave these out so anybody who is interested can come and see exactly who mailed them after the meeting. And my sincere wish is that next year, when the fair housing anniversary comes up for the 57th time, that we get one of our local nonprofits or one of the other local community groups, the folks who are really out there on the front line doing everything they can to protect fair housing, that they should be allowed to come in because they are the ones that deserve to accept the proclamation. Thank you.
Councilmember Jorgens.
Yeah, I'd also like to talk about fair housing and some of the, reasons why I voted to pull the proclamation. One of the lines of the proclamation is one that I love. Whereas the city of Newark is a community of inclusion strengthened by its diversity, and acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunity violate our shared values of decency and fairness. It's such an important line and so in line with our values. And I know Councilmember Bucci talked a lot about some of the things that Bay Association of Realtors does. I think it's also important to focus on one of the things that they don't do. I'm on their website right now under About Bay East, under their Our Mission Statement, under their Our Vision Statement, under their Our Value Statement, under their Our Culture Statement. In their strategic goals document, there is nothing about furthering fair housing. So the idea that we would pass a resolution saying that one of our values is fair housing and not partner with a group who, is also valued fair housing, to me, counteracts those values that we say we have. A resolution is a piece of paper. That's all it is. As the mayor says, it's something to celebrate, and we should be doing that celebration with the folks that are doing the work. And it's, to me, it takes us a step back. And the idea of term of fair housing can be used in so many different ways and is used in different ways by different people. And we should be clear and precise in how we're using it. And I would encourage our community, if you want to know where Newark stands on fair housing, go take a look at our housing element. Those policies that, we voted and put it in place that are going to further fair housing, that's where we stand, that's where our values are. And, it's, to me, that's who we should be partnering with on those goals.
Councilmember Collazo.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I want to wish the best to our Chief Gina Anderson on her new endeavors. She was here with us for 4 years. She did a wonderful job. I want to thank her for her service, and she will be missed. We do have our new chief. I'm very happy with our new chief, but best wishes to Chief Anderson. And I was going to ask staff about the food waste pail program. I know some people have received them. I have never received mine. I've talked to people, they never received theirs. Where's this program at? How is it going? You know, if you could look into it and give us an update on it, I would really appreciate it. And Your Honor, I want to applaud you and thank you. During our presentations, you call up our employees one by one, and we have the opportunity to see who's who. Where before they were called up in a group, their names were called all together. You're trying to guess who's who, who's who. So I want to thank you. That was very nice. Today, you know, we saw them one by one. We knew who was who. So I want to thank you for that. And whether you're shopping for groceries, whether you're shopping for clothing, whether you're shopping for a home, shop Newark. Thank you.
You're welcome. Vice Mayor Freitas.
Thank you on that. Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to agree with my colleague, Councilmember Collazo, in recognizing Chief Anderson for her years of service to our community. There's no greater responsibility we have as a community than make sure our residents are safe and feel safe. And Gina Anderson, Chief Anderson, and her staff, all the fine men and women that serve in our police department, make sure that we are safe every day. They treat all residents with respect and courtesy, irrespective of their immigration status. And that's what community looks like. So thank you for that. Congratulations to Captain Jonathan Arguello for being our new chief. There you are. I was looking. You have some, as you know, some big shoes to fill. But we have a history in this city of providing outstanding public service to our community. And it starts with our city manager, and it migrates down throughout the organization. I'm really proud, Mr. Benoon, of all the maintenance people that I saw promoted today. Young folks that are starting off their careers in public service are excited about these opportunities and are moving forward. And as I shared with one young gentleman, when I worked in San Jose, our city manager started in the parks department and became our city manager. So anything is possible. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a maintenance worker sitting in that chair. When you read some of the academic qualifications that they possess, these are certainly fine contributors to our community, so we're happy to have them on board. You know, we could have requested that item B2 be pulled and had this conversation after passing the proclamation. We could have passed the proclamation. My colleagues could have asked for an opportunity to speak to the proclamation and lay out their viewpoints, which we certainly would have respected. Councilmember Bucci made a lot of comments. None of them focused on what we were asked to do tonight. We were asked as a community to recognize the importance of fair housing. let me give you a little bit of a historical perspective as to how this all originated. The Fair Housing Act of 1968, also known as the Civil Rights Act of 1968, was the third major civil rights law passed in the 1960s. Some of us grew up in the 60s. We remember what that era was about. The discrimination that existed, not just in housing, employment, voting rights, education. We were not a society in the 60s that we would look back on today and say, you know what? I'm proud of that era. We weren't proud of that era. And it was because of the young people in the 60s that called out these issues that things started to change. It prohibited discrimination in housing based on race, religion, national origin, sex, and family status. The act also outlawed Jim Crow segregation. The act was passed in the wake of Martin Luther King's assassination to address the anger of African Americans who were rioting in the nation's ghettos. I remember the riots in Watts, California. I remember the riots in Detroit and the impact that they had on me as a young person. It was passed soon after the Civil Rights Act of 64 and the Voting Rights Act of 65 to address aspects of discrimination that were not sufficiently covered by the earlier legislation. The act protects people from discrimination when they are renting or buying a home, getting a mortgage, seeking housing assistance, and engaging in other housing-related activities. The act covers most housing, including private housing, public housing, and housing that receives federal funding. We chose tonight, as the city of Newark, that was historic. That was historic. Why wouldn't we want to continue to jump on the bandwagon and say, this is what we stand for as a community? No. Look over here at the lobbying efforts and the political statements made by this organization. First of all, none of us ever believe the literature that we receive right before an election to be truthful, which is why most of us don't read them to begin with, because we base our voting decisions based on what the person says and not what others say. We're proud here in the city of Newark to have a friend like Alex Lee, because time and time again he has shown us his support for our community. As Councilmember Bucci mentioned, we've received over $5 million from him based on his support. I would imagine on a per capita basis, the small city of Newark got more dollars per resident than any other community in the Bay Area, hands down. It's because Alex Lee supports our community, and we have that relationship with him. He can set aside the politics of what goes on day in and day out, which has polarized this country. We no longer listen to each other. We want you to focus on an issue that is not relevant to the issue at hand. We were disrespectful. I apologize as the mayor. We were disrespectful to our guests. Shame on us. I want to read the proclamation, even though we didn't adopt it, to let our residents know what we decided not to stand for. So maybe I start the proclamation 2024 Fair Housing Month, to which the city of Newark does not stand for. Whereas the Fair Housing Act, enacted in federal law in April of 1968, established a national policy of fair housing with a goal of eliminating racial discrimination and ending housing discrimination for all who live in the United States. We don't support that. We don't support that statement. We also don't support the statement that says fair housing prohibits the discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and national origin. We don't support that. Whereas fair housing is a positive community good, benefiting the environment and our social fabric, we don't support that. Whereas the city of Newark is a community of inclusion. We're a welcoming community. Amazing. We're a welcoming community unless your viewpoint or what you lobby for, we disagree with. And even though you have a constitutional right to lobby, support any candidate or any organization, we're going to be disrespectful to you because we don't agree with you. Whereas the city of Newark is a community of inclusion, strengthened by its diversity and acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunity violate the shared values of decency and fairness. We don't support that. Whereas fair housing is integral to the ethical commitment of members of the National Association of Realtors. Oh, and by the way, my colleague, Mr. Jorgens, went on their website. I went on their website as well. Fair housing. They have a fair housing statement. Realtors, and this is from their website. I'm reading it right here. Realtors, and oh, by the way, the realtors that I'm talking about are citizens in our own community. These are people that work in Newark, shop in Newark, sell homes in Newark, throughout the area. So we're talking about residents of our community. We didn't support them tonight. Realtors firmly believe in equal opportunity in housing. Everyone has the right to rent or purchase shelter without limitation due to race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. That's what they stand for. I mean, if we're going to talk about what their website says, that's what their website says. It was unprecedented tonight to pull a proclamation to honor guests that were here, whether they invited themselves or we invited them. We all knew as council members and mayors that this was on the agenda. We're given the agenda several days in advance, okay? We could have had an opportunity to have a conversation, come to a consensus as to what we want to do. My predecessors would tell you the Newark City Council and the Newark Way is we're celebratory. We celebrate success. We celebrate ideas. We recognize diversity in our community. We didn't demonstrate that tonight. We could have accomplished Councilmember Bucci's goals by having a conversation, but as a community, we could have said fair housing is important and we support it. And I support it. We stand adjourned.